see what is going on. So Nick, today we're gonna talk a little bit, do stuff. I hope so. And well, usual spam, support and all that stuff. I'm gonna paste this Oktoberfest. Post a real quick Twitter. Okay, so cool. Check out. By the way, can you hear me well? Awesome. What do you want me to do? So perhaps a good start will be like talking a little bit what Booster is. I don't know. I'm super hyped about this project, which I've been working for some time right now. But essentially, Booster is this framework that can, like, it's for making backends, but you don't have to have any kind of backend knowledge. And everything that it does is it's like ensuring that everything is deployed perfectly to the cloud and like all natively, and you don't have to be configuring anything or whatsoever. So you just write the code that you need for your app to work, and that's it. So when you work with Booster, you can have, let me go into the example I have over here. Or no, doesn't matter. So when you work with Booster, you have this boost command line tool. You can write boost new project and type the name of the project. So I don't know, what shall we write? Chat application or whatever. It will ask for different questions. Happen to be very weird color, but whatever. So the project description, like first version, author, website, typical question that NPM might ask you. And after all, it asks you for what the provider infrastructure library is, which is a very weird way to ask you which cloud provider are you going to deploy this. So right now it comes out of the box with AWS support, but you could in theory deploy it to Azure, Kubernetes, or all that fancy stuff that people like. So I'm going to just go ahead and create the project. And now it's gonna like do the typical npm install, and also it will generate all the required like ESLint config. It will also generate the prettier config and the git ignore. Like we'll set up everything for you, so you don't have to be like doing everything again and again. And it's gonna perform an npm install, which takes a little bit. So while this is installing, let me go very quick into how everything is organized. So the idea is this very weird diagram, but I'll explain it very quickly. So it's based on the same concepts that Redux for React is based on, more or less, just to give you some context. So what's going on is that when you okay, that was my fault. Okay, so what's going on here is that usually you will have like a web app or mobile app or whatever, and you will want to interact with your backend, which is like the whole thing over here. This looks a bit complex, but actually you don't have to be thinking about anything, just 2 or 3 things that we'll explain. So you will interact with a GraphQL endpoint. Don't worry, it's easier than you think. And from here you can do 2 things. Either you can query data, we'll explain how it's generated, or you can submit commands. So commands essentially are like orders that you give to your system. Like for example, in a chat application, it could be send message, register user, stuff like that. Then you write a command handler, which is a function, like a regular function, nothing fancy, that will react to this command. And this command handler will produce some events. These events could be like user registered or message sent, stuff like that. And then this list of events will be reduced into an entity, which is a state. Everything that I'm saying here is automatic. It's just to give you some context. This will be an internal state that then you can transform with a projection function and to a public state, which is a read mode. Like it looks super complicated, but trust me, in the code is much easier. So okay, let's jump right in. So I'm gonna get into this chat app booster that I just created, and I'm gonna open up code. Okay, so here we have like everything generated for us, like package JSON, ESLint, whatever. And most of these folders are empty, except config and index. This index file, you can just ignore it. You have the config over here, and here we essentially specify what's the application name and what provider we're using, which we are importing from the AWS package. So that's pre-configured, you don't have to be thinking about that. So what's cool here, so we're gonna write our first command. So for our chat application, we're gonna, like, I don't know, create, for example, a command called create room. So to create a command, we could go here, create a file, whatever, but you can just go ahead and write boost new command called create room. And here you're gonna specify the fields that it's gonna have. So at least it's gonna have some participants. It's gonna be yes, an array of users. Array of user. I'm gonna quote this so the console doesn't get crazy. Or perhaps even without participants, I'm just gonna give it a name and that's it, and the room is gonna be empty. So this is going to tell us that the command has been generated. So if we come here, we can see stuff like has been generated for us. So we have here a regular JavaScript class, we'll create room constructor with some fields. Then we have a handle method over here, and then we have this add command weird thing. So this essentially tells Booster that, hey, this is a command, and we can configure it over here. Just for make it very simple, we're gonna authorize everyone to execute this command. See how like pretty already pre-formatted, like formatted the document for me, and that because that's pre-configured. So here is this command handle, which is what we were seeing over here in the diagram, this little box over here. And here we can do whatever we want to create our room. So in a typical application, you will be like going ahead to connecting to Mongo or MySQL or whatever and creating a new a new entry in the table in the room. But here you will just have to register an event, and I'll explain you how. We could here, for example, I don't know, like send a notification or connect to any service or whatever, but I'm just gonna go ahead and register an event. Speaking of events, I don't have anything, so I'll just go ahead and create a new event. I'm gonna say boost new event, room created, fields, and I'm gonna give it a name, and also gonna give it a room ID. Gonna be a UUID, which is a unique identifier, and I think that's it. We don't need any more information for that. So when we come to room created, again, we have another class, we have an add event thing, so we can just save, leave here to format everything. So here it will ask us to fill this entity ID method, which is essentially to tell Booster like which, for example, in the case of room created, like which room is this event associated to. So here we're gonna say this dot room ID. So which room has been created? So the one with room ID. Okay, that's it. So we can come back here and register its new event. So we're gonna go ahead and create it. So new room created. We're gonna pass the name, which is in command with name, and we're gonna have pass the room ID, which we don't have. But Booster gives you a helper function that you could use, which is id.generate, and it will generate a random identifier for you. That's it. We have the event, the command, and we can go ahead and try to create like the state, because right now we just have the event. So to create this entity, state entity, go ahead and write boost new entity. This one is going to be called room. It's going to have some fields, which is going to be a name string. Going to have some participants also. Going to be array of, and well, instead of array of user, we're going to just have an array string. So we just have a simple mean for users. And here comes the interesting part. It's like, how can we generate this state? So we can pass here reduces, and here we say which event it reduces. So room created. When we come here, again, another class has been generated for us. We can just save so it gets formatted. And here's the interesting part. Well, first, it has generated an ID for us, because all entities must have an ID field. So it's generated by default. And also, it has generated for us this created function, which takes an event, current room, and returns a new room, which is very simple, very similar to what you do with array.reduce. You have like the in the callback, like the previous value, the current value, and then you return a new one, which is exactly what's going to happen here. So you got an event, current, more or less like that. Oh, true. To do that. Development. Software. There we go. Thanks, dude. Yep. Okay, cool. So now we can go ahead and create a new room from these events. So note that this one is optional at first, because when you start the application, there are no rooms. So when I say reduce room created, we're gonna say, okay, return new room. ID, this is gonna be room ID. Yeah, sure, I have to add a title. Sorry, first time here. What I don't want to, I don't know what to title it with. I'm just gonna call it easy backends with framework. So okay, there we go. So the name's gonna be the same one as the one in the event, and participants is gonna be an empty array. But here we are not using current room, but I'm just gonna say, so if current room exists, I'm just gonna call the impossible happened. Oh, hey, look. Glad you like it. By the way, if some of you have like any question, just shoot them right away, and I'll be answering them. Or if you want to see something specific or whatever, no problem at all. So, okay, does it possibly happened? A room with ID event not ID is already created. So here the reduce is gonna fail, and this is gonna like propagate to our front end to tell us that the room has been created already. So cool. Now we can go ahead and create this read model part, which is this part over here. So we've already created all this part here, this commands. Now we can go ahead and create this one, which is the public API. So we can go ahead and write boost new read model, and gonna call it, I don't know, like a room read model, just for whatever. So a read model is used for like hiding some parts of your internal data or transforming them into other things. And yeah, essentially it's for publishing the internal state to the public through the API. So the fields are gonna be the same as the room, so it's gonna have a string, but we're gonna leave out participants because we just want to, well, maybe participants count. Participants count, be a number. So we can say in the front end, okay, so room with name who has like 3, whatever. So we're gonna head and here, because here in the entities we write reducers, here in the read models write projections. So we're gonna go ahead and write it projects the room entity, and we have to add like the ID field after a column. We come here to read models. We have also again an authorize configuration part here, which of course, because it's public API, gonna be both. So we're gonna say just authorize everyone. Going to be formatted, and here it's very similar to what we had in the entity side by side. So here the reduces in the reducer we have like an event, a current room returns a room, and here in the projection we have an entity, a current read model, and returns a new read model over here. Well, this projection result is because it could be useful for you, so that some time to return either your read model, or for example you could say, okay, I don't want you to update my read model, or I just want to delete the read model. So you can write read model delete there, but well, whatever. So here we can go ahead and we're gonna say return new room read model entity.id entity.name, and let's it. We don't have title here. Well, whatever. Entity.name, and as participants count, we're gonna have entity.participant.length, and that will be it. Because we want to override the read model, and we're just gonna delete this part over here. Okay, great. So now we have like command that creates stuff. We have the events. We have the entity over here. We have the room read model, and now we can go ahead and do the interesting part. So as I boost deploy -e production, and that's it. So it will deploy everything to AWS. Well, of course, you have to have configured it on your local machine, but that might be it. So right now it's gonna like analyze your code and start creating all the cloud resources. The first time is the slowest, but yeah, after that it's just gonna be updating the cloud resources. So it's gonna create like right now as NS3 to upload the code, more stuff. Questions so far, folks? Well, meanwhile, I think that we can go ahead and start creating frontend perhaps. Well, initialize kind of React app over here. I like Snowpack for some reason. And TypeScript. Starter for that. App temp. This. React TypeScript. And frontend. So that it doesn't explode. Okay. You can see here it's reading database tables, REST API, which GraphQL endpoint will be hosted in. Then we have here also something called IAM roles, which are like security part of the cloud. But the great thing about Booster, which is why I like it a lot, well, maybe because I'm not smart enough for these things, like I don't like having to deal with all these things constantly. Each time that one has to create an app, has to be thinking in like security, databases, API, and it's like all the same time. It's the same thing. And actually, what I want to do is like take my idea and make it real and not be dealing with all these different things. So we got our front end over here already, so let's call npm start. By the way, if you don't know Snowpack, it's a cool thing, an alternative to Webpack. And I really like it because the changes are instant. Okay, so the deployment here is complete. And here are the outputs. Let me take a quick note over here. Oops. No. Add it over here. Oh yeah, no, essentially what I did was to create a new new Snowpack app with a template here. So I just gave it the name of frontend, so it created a new React app here over here for me. Okay, so now onward to exploring the API, we can go to hopscotch.io. Previously it was called Postwoman. Well, they renamed it Hopscotch. So here we can go ahead and get the schema of this app, of this endpoint that we already have, and look that it already has generated all the GraphQL operational stuff for us, and including also the wiring in the backend, so you don't have to be thinking about it. So we can see here. Yeah, I think that it was the same regarding that, because like Postwoman was like super cool alternative to Postman, and you know, I like it a lot. But yeah, well, these things happen. But yeah, cool. So okay, so here we have already all the GraphQL operations, which by the way, if you want to have GraphQL on your server, like you have to implement all those things by hand. You have to wire the subscriptions, like create the mutations, like everything. Not only generating this file, but also like wiring it to the controllers of your endpoints and all that stuff. So, but you don't have to do this. So here we see the mutations, which are the commands that we have. We see that the room and the input that it requires is a name, which is a string. So we can go ahead and say create room. I'm gonna pass and here the name is gonna be, I don't know, room 1 in original. So gonna say data create room true, which essentially means that this was successful. And now we can go ahead and query, for example, what rooms do we have? And for that we use the room read models. And I think that, oh yeah, I have to specify which fields I want to query. So I'm gonna just call the ID and the participants count. Run the query. Okay. Like this. Okay, yeah, so it tells me that there's one room with this random ID over here. and it has out, and I can also ask for the name of the room. It's gonna also give me the name of the room. So see how everything has been done like underneath. I haven't, like, I didn't have to create all the stuff related to like saving the data or querying the data or whatever. I just wrote some events, some commands, like similar to what Redux does on the front end, and that's it. And the great part about this is that like, on the contrary of other tools, because there are quite some other tools to do stuff similar to this, but because of the assumptions and the architecture that this booster project has, like booster projects have, actually this thing scales very well. And there's a video somewhere there that I do a test with 3,000 requests per second, and like the application like runs with no problem, doesn't crash, doesn't give like a lot of latency or whatever. So it's quite cool on that part. So it scales, and also a cool thing about this is that I'm not paying anything right now for this, because this is part of the free tier of AWS, and you start paying after 1 year, or I think it was like 1 million requests per month or something like that, which is, or okay, it means that your application has already some kind of success. Okay, so we can now think on how we can create the app, and probably we will be yeah, like in most applications you have to be querying, doing all that stuff, but because this is GraphQL, you can go ahead and just use Apollo React with TypeScript. And let me check. I'm going to install this in our front end. Right, so we can come to I think, yeah, right. So here we have already some application over here, and what I do is that delete everything. This, and all right, let's try to render the room. So one, and I'm gonna create UL, and here I need rooms somewhere, so rooms. Create this table over here, and I'm gonna say app, and I'm gonna create each one of those rooms to Lee. For now, array of string, and here I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna create 2 strings over here just to, well, oh yeah, I haven't started the server. Oops, that's not it. There we go. This way. Better. There we go. Okay, so here we have like super weird CSS, which I'm gonna comment off. white fresh. All right, so we have 2 rooms over here, and we have to get the backend and front end be connected. So do that. Come very quick to this page. Follow. Gonna like put this thing over here, paste it over here, and I can really write my query. So remember when I typed this here, go over here, and I'm gonna create here. So I'm gonna say const. I'm gonna rooms here, QL, and I copy paste right on here. Here I'm gonna get the same stuff the other part, and of course now it's gonna tell me I have to create a type for storing all of this. Let's say interface room. I could actually import it from the other project, but sure. Just simplify stuff very quickly. I have also name, which is going to be a string, and we can also have a particular count, which is going to be a number. And also, if I understand this correctly, I need data. So yeah, data interface rooms data, and we have here read models field. Read models, and this is an array of room. There we go. So here we can now go ahead and paste here, and now we have to change bucket for data. Variables, we're not gonna have any variables, so we can leave this out. Get rocket inventory, we get okay. So in here, now we can go ahead and just here. So they are doing is asking for loading. If it's loading, render this one, and if not, they render all of this over here. Okay, we're gonna say do the same thing over here. So we're gonna say loading. It's loading. Be loading. And if not, we just gonna render all this stuff over here. It's not set up for the front end. And here is gonna ask for data. Okay. Same. Oops. Data and data room read models map. Return only b dot name participants here participants count, and here we're gonna add ID React explain, and this is gonna be rule the ID. Okay, so if everything worked correctly, have I'm sorry. says that function have right. Oh yeah, true. I think related back. I don't have a higher order. Yeah, I don't have. I didn't create a line, which we're gonna do very quick here. Come to the index. Oh, index tsx. Import all of these things. URI. Yeah, it's gonna be one. And client's ready to start fetching the data. Here we put follow provider, and for running app, try this. And before running the app, I'm gonna create an provider. And need to have a client equal. So what's done now? App text. Going on. To me, might be happening is I don't have the proper react. Oh, looks like correct. Yeah, there we go. We got room 1. Awesome. So got room 1 over here. And I'm wondering if, because I didn't specify retries, go ahead and create a new room. Create room input. I'm gonna have a name called my pool room. Get this fun. See if it updates or not. We have to load it ourselves. Yeah, but okay, so let's see if we can do this with a subscription. Subscriptions are a very cool thing from GraphQL. Allow you to get this in real time. In theory, you should do exactly the same thing as I did here, but changing this part, which is for subscription, work. So let's try doing that. This let's create one over here. Subscription. We should be able to write here subscription, and it should work, but we need now ask React, or rather Apollo, to use this subscription transport WS package. Let's go ahead and do this and transport this. Okay, and here ask us. We have to set up a link. Now, essentially, copy and paste this. Come back to our index.tsx file. We have now 2 links. And I guess I can ask it. Yeah, link. Link. Go. And now we're gonna apply for HTTP link. It's gonna be this one. And created, we have a SS URI, which is essentially for subscriptions. So now we can this way. All right. In theory, if we now come app file, have the subscription over here, and we can execute it. You should be able to query your subscription. Here we pass a get subscription. Let me restart the server real quick. Please close before the connection. QL perhaps? Oh, okay, no, it's not GraphQL. I have to write it like this. If I create room input, and here I write the name. All right, so yeah, it got here, but something happening. Perhaps I'm not tracking this. Oh yeah, so they have it. Data loading. Data room read model. What's going on here? No. Yeah, let's print. Let me comment this real like this. Let's just data so this. Objects, right. Let's do it. Gonna all of this. I'm gonna rate string. Or uploaded. Weird, actually. Add an object. What's that? Data. Ah. Okay, so we got this. Got the update. But for some reason, it's not like extracting it properly from here. So if I create another room here, another room, happens. Okay, whatever. Let's leave it with a query. I'll debug this here. So this now gonna be loading data, and this use data. Okay, yeah. They are properly done. And check what more stuff do we have here in the folder first. I want to rerun a query. Oh, I can write poll interval actually. Nice. Poll half a second. So here I should be. See pans. Right. Okay, I think that a poll is doing a very weird thing. Because say another one. Ah, yeah, it was updating. Okay, cool. So we have a somewhat real-time thing over here. So what more can we do? prefetching, whatever. We can, for example, name for us. Name, set name. Anonymous user. H2 welcome name text say change here gonna name here e value. Welcome. Anyway, this is what I like of Snowpack, which is absolutely insanely fast. The reload website. Okay, here we also might want to out ourselves to these rooms. So go ahead and create that real quick. So we can come back to our backend part. I'm gonna create a new command. Whatever. So I'm gonna say ghost new command, and I'm going join room. I have some fields, and I'm gonna ask username. Gonna be a string like this, and a room ID. Gonna be also string. When a user finishes, like when the join room command finishes, we probably need an event called user added to room. It's gonna have a username field as well, and a room ID field as well. And yeah, I think that's it. We can come right here, join room. I'll let everyone on this, and here we're gonna register a new event, which is gonna be new added to room. Username is gonna be the one inside of the command, and the room ID is gonna be also the one inside of the command. So if we come now to events, added to room, we have to specify the room ID. So room ID. And in the entities, we have to create a new reducer. So I'm just gonna copy and paste this quick. It's gonna be reduces user added to room. Like this, user added to room. And now we don't need to do this. Okay, so we're gonna say if there's no current room, we're gonna with the event ID something like this, and if not, we're gonna return a new room with the same ID as the current room, the same name as the current room, and we're gonna add participants. All right, so create a here participants and the current participant. Voila. I'm messing up here. I'm just gonna push it here, and I'm gonna put an event dot here. All right, so we can go, and now if our user gets added to the room, doesn't exist, we just say, hey, exist. Not we just push the username into the participants, and then we create this, and we can go ahead and say boost deploy dash production. So it's gonna deploy, and of course now we'll need to add ourselves here. Gonna come to the app part front end. Well, actually, I'm gonna extract all this part like this. I'm gonna extract it to a function inside of the model. I'm gonna call it, I don't know, room details or something like that. Got now where we got here the room details, and here we can add, for example, quick, and here we have, for example, a button. I don't know, do this, so but now everything, and I'm gonna say on click better, let's just call it yeah, and this is gonna be a function that hey Alvaro, how's it going? So let's go ahead and create a station of it. Yeah, I'm just gonna same thing again, copy paste this. By the way, this should have been, yes, deploying. Let's call this join room mutation. All of this, and in theory this should create something like room, and now we and we're right, have username and room ID. Okay, username and this is gonna be username because I'm gonna pass parameters to it, and ID, room ID, room, and this one. Yep. Okay. We're gonna have a username. It's gonna be a string, and we're gonna have a room ID, which is gonna be a string as well. We can make Okay, cool. Now we need to provide it some variables. Or how to. Oh yeah, because. Yep. Yeah, here. So we're gonna say interface join parse username string, and we have also room ID string. I'm gonna do this very hacky way. I'm gonna say that of callback. I'm gonna call it set active room, and is this gonna have the string? Okay, so here what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try. Well, you know what? I'm gonna this part. What am I doing? And I'm just gonna paste it over here and make it like passing stuff around. Yeah. That there's no set active room. So on click, I'm gonna do a couple of things. I'm gonna say, okay, const room set room is gonna state empty string, and well, or even use a state. Here we're gonna say on click. First, I'm gonna say set selected room to ID, and also query. Maybe a mutation. Sorry. This part over here. I'm gonna I don't need data mutation group is okay, got it. Input okay, yeah, got it. Okay, so here, right. type inside. So here inputs vars, and we need to write also the add it real quick. Here instead of saying rocket, I'm going to say rotation variables. I'm going to say name, and the other one was this. This is going to be error. So if this, like this part, and we say over here. This part. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so deploy failed. For some reason, a lot of stuff backed in the project. Yeah, I could try nuking the app. Yeah, okay, let's do that. Okay, so yeah, of course, when you are working with Booster, at some point you might say, okay, I wanna like completely remove what's going on here, what I'm creating. I'm gonna say boost nuke-e production, and it's gonna move everything as long as the chat app. And it's gonna delete all the stuff for you, which is pretty convenient because go into AWS and moving stuff, but it might not be convenient for live stream. But yeah, it's weird. Because I believe that what happened is that some stuff got mixed in the backend, perhaps. But yeah, so just to keep pace, let's do some stuff. Well, this added. I don't know. Let's make this clear and listen speedier. Which, by the way, is like very similar to Bootstrap, but super cool. Like a bit more minimal and more configurable. I like it. And all right, so and in theory add it to our app, because we're not using, and I'm doing this. Let me check my. Right. So, yeah, sure, but we don't have the app anymore. Let's do. And really it's complaining about working. I'm gonna end this quick. I'm gonna loading to data. There we go. Right. Well, whatever. So it stops. Also, I don't have run start. Okay, meanwhile, go ahead and try to see if this fixes. What I'm trying is how do I. Is it annoying? Cool. Go back. Okay. CSS. I got ready. This. Oh, let's do this. To right. X. Tailwind CSS. Right. Theory, able to write and of styles here. I call it index. Now I can say start. So meanwhile I'm fixing this for 9 people watching, hopefully. What are your most frustrating parts in front-end development? Moment to ask. Most frustrating things have happened to you. Because sometimes I just wish everything simpler and weird things. Styles not. To be honest, I have no. Styles. Oh yeah. The way that I was expecting. Alright. Cool. So now let's try add some stuff. Oh yeah. Okay, we got an H1. Whoop. Headings are unstyled. Okay. Cool. So text. Do this part. Okay, of course. Makes this. Okay, got it. Large. Okay. So to Excel. Last name. Excel. Perhaps use container or something. Okay, this is still deploying. Yeah. So it could be the container. MX here. Actually, I'm just like padding over all places. Yeah, cool. So why not? Let's add some emojis for a while. And that's face over. I don't form. I classes here. And which already gives me. There we go. Let's add also add margin bottom 2 or maybe, yeah, and here. We got why not? And also I'm gonna here margin. Okay, deployment complete. All right. So looks like we are having some, for some reason our stuff getting backed the front end into the backend project. Apart from this, which is super weird, I don't understand what happens. All over here or something. Oh. Super weird stuff. My dependency. So this is weird. I think that we can do node module folder. Redeploy this. And also we're gonna the dist folder. Now we can np build. Although I'm I'm gonna run compile here. Compile the project again. Yeah, and first. Right, and we can go file again. And run again. Definitely I should local runtime I've been working on. And essentially instead of deploying this to the cloud constantly to some tests and stuff like that, it will allow you to like develop locally, and then when everything works you can go ahead and deploy it to the cloud, which probably won't save you from bugs like this one. You have to create a GitHub issue on this, but at least it's not gonna let you stop from trying your app, your front end at least. So let's keep working on the front end meanwhile. And this, if I remember correctly, there were any. Yeah. And I like on it. Into a functioning module scope, and I'm gonna call it loading loader rather. Do add copy some command here. The class name. Expected this. Oh yeah, because yes. Have to do because I need I can have only one child. Yeah, we didn't add difference. So I can do a equals 100. I can delete this one. Right. Well, I have no post the components. Yeah. Alerts. I okay. Understand all of this part. Perhaps I should be using Bootstrap. Because Got it. Alert. Yeah. Let's remove this. That is the one. Get around corners. Yes, I have to write last name. Well, okay, so this creating again. And all right. Let's do this. Loading. This part. And so, oh yeah, because got it. And what if and try to div? It should stay the same. And I add I believe. Animate polls. But I believe that this is oh yeah, it's awesome. So now I can export perhaps. Yep. And I can tag center and origin. All right, so I think that we found a bug because it's trying to load many things. Happen. Well, that's what test is for, right? Okay, I think that it's a nice time to leave this tape. But yeah, I think that for now we can just leave this as it is. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a repo for this. I'm gonna create a GitHub repo. Yep. And I'm gonna upload this to GitHub so you folks can get out. Chat. Chat app. I'm building. Wow. Live streaming. Get a repo. Now. Wow. I'm going to call this. Okay. Here. Okay, these URLs are actually working anymore. Just delete them. Chat app booster. Installation. Usage. Set up. AWS credentials. I will fill this later. We deploy backend with boost deploy dash production. And here I'm gonna add a warning sign. Not working for me. Warning. This app cannot be deployed right now. Working on it. So okay, I'll fix this later. Okay, sure. Right now. Okay. Thank you for spending time with me. I'm sorry that we found the bug. Well, I'm not sorry that we found a bug. Actually, it's quite exciting when you find bugs because it means that you work on them. And yeah, it's a weird thing that's happening. I'm pretty sure that it's related to the fact that we're putting a front end application inside of the booster one. and we probably should just separate them into two different folders, like having backend folder and frontend folder, so it doesn't interfere. But anyways, it should be not happening. So I'll research on that, and of course, feel free to like ping me on Twitter, Discord, or whatever. And I encourage you to come to the booster repo GitHub, which you can find it down there in my channel description. But also you can just come to put this repo over here, com/booster/booster, and we can keep appearing every day. And we can keep just working over here or talking or asking questions. And of course, feel free to come to our Slack, which you find in the website cloud community, and you'll get Slack invitation. So I think that's it for today. I hope that you enjoy your Friday and have a nice day, and we can see you.